Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Into the Stands. I'm Robbie alongside Colin and Chris, as per usual. You only see these guys for the first half of the episode today. These guys go run somewhere else. But before we get into the main part of today's show, we have a big announcement for you guys here today. Last year, we hosted the WIUR NFL Draft Special. It was a blast, 5-hour stream. It was absolute insanity. Ladies and gentlemen, it's coming back. We will be hosting the second WIUR NFL Draft Special with a little bit of a twist. I will be the main host of the draft, and alongside me will be a show that you guys might be watching as well. The Ball Knowers podcast will be joining me for the 2024 WIUR NFL Draft Special. It'll be a blast. It'll be on, I believe, April 25th, 7:30 start time. It's going to be a blast. We'll have a variety of guests for you guys to tune in to for the entire 4.5-hour stream. It's going to be a blast. Wish these guys could be here, but unfortunately, I do not think they will be with us. But I think because you guys are here, Colin is wearing the Yankees gear, we will start today's main portion of the episode with the New York Yankees. They've been on a tear. They've looked pretty good to start the year. Colin, what are your thoughts on this Yankees team so far?
It's been awesome to watch. You know, we were talking so much about how for the first time it seemed like this Yankee team, because always ever since we got Aaron Judge in the Aaron Judge era, it's been World Series or bust. Everyone's saying, oh, the Yankees have to go to the World Series. I didn't even hear that this year, which is kind of crazy when you consider the fact that we got Juan Soto. They go out and sign a Marcus Stroman. They make these moves, and yet still, it really didn't seem like the Yankees always had these same World Series aspirations. It seemed kind of more under the radar. I mean, we even saw a couple of days before the season started that you were projected by some place to have about 70-something wins, which is crazy to think about, but that's what it was. Just really not a lot of hype around this Yankees baseball team unlike other years, but they've been phenomenal. You talk about the best record in baseball right now at 10-2. Juan Soto has been everything that has been advertised. He has been awesome to watch. He's a guy who has already shown he loves playing for the Yankees. He's a guy who fits the Yankees team perfectly. Finally bringing some order to the lineup, getting it on base off, and the Houston series alone, he was so awesome to watch. Being able to give us a lead there the last game of that Houston series with a single, I can't say enough about the guy. I love watching him. I hope to God that we're able to re-sign him. He's just electrified this team, this fan base, and they're even talking about it on the Yankees broadcast too. It almost seems like all the other players on the team are starting to take more pitches, which, is something that Yankees being a very high previously strikeout team has been a lot of criticism about. This is a lineup where they don't take pitches. They strike out easily. It seems that Juan Soto alone has already started to, kind of change that approach. Alex Verdugo is another new addition to the lineup as well. He's had his moments. He had that big home run against Arizona. He had a home run just, I believe it was last night or 2 nights ago. So overall, like I said, the lineup has been great. I think this is probably the most balanced I've seen the Yankee lineup in the years that I've been watching, at least. You go over to the rotation, obviously not having Garrett Cole, it's a problem, but it's been holding their own so far. We see Nestor Cortez. He had his best start of the season on Monday against the Marlins, went 8 strong. He kind of struggled the first couple of starts, but it seemed like he kind of got off to a slow start, then kind of fought back later on in the games. Carlos Rodon, we're starting to see the velocity come back, which is awesome to see. We want to see him get back to being, hopefully the number 2 starter in this rotation. So far, Rodon has, been much better than he was last year, and that's something that, we just would love to say. Marcus Stroman has been great so far. I know Marcus Stroman kind of did something similar last year with the Cubs, where he had a great start to the first half. Second half wasn't as good, but so far the guy hasn't given up an earned run. He'll pitch tonight. We'll see what happens, but he's been awesome so far. Luis Gil as well, has been kind of had his moments as well. And then we also finally go to Clark Schmidt, who, is just a solid guy in this rotation, just not being asked to do too much, but he gets the job done as well. So it's really hard, at least at this point, to point out too many flaws. We go to the bullpen, and we have Clay Holmes obviously closing. Ian Hamilton has been great so far. Just in general, the bullpen has been a pretty solid unit. When you have the best record in baseball, obviously you have a lot of things going right for you, and I can say that confidently about this Yankee team. It seems like there's a lot going right. That series against Toronto, they had that first game where they ended up having a scoreless game against Toronto, but then they were able to bounce back, had a pretty good showings there. They're playing Miami right now, and obviously the Marlins have been really struggling due to injuries and such. So we have the best team in the league right now against the worst team in the league record-wise. But, any way you can pick up wins. Last night wasn't really pretty. It was kind of a game where they won 3-2. But listen, no one's going to complain about getting wins in the MLB as long as you keep stacking them, especially in the AL East, where Boston has gotten off to a good start. the Orioles have been kind of around 500, but we expect they're going to bounce back, especially with certain Jackson Holiday having his MLB debut today. So, I mean, obviously it's too early. I mean, of course, I feel like we see this every single Yankee season where, all the other Yankee teams that started off 10-2 went on to make the World Series. There's always that stat every single year. I never buy into it though, because once again, we're only in the middle of April. We have to see how the rest of the season goes. If we can keep this up though, just make sure you can still stay in the lead in the AL East. I think it could be a good look so far for this season. Just for the rotation, staying consistent until Garrett Cole gets back is crucial. Just the lineup could just continue to stay diversified. I know, Chris, you're getting ready to talk about this as well. It's been fun so far. I mean, what more can we really say?
Yeah, the thing with Juan Soto that I think I'm most impressed at is, of course, yes, he's got the 2 home runs. He made that excellent throw to home plate on opening day, but the man does the little things so well. I mean, it's really a treat to get to watch this guy every night. We know how well he fits into the pinstripes. I actually went to the game this past Sunday, and it really, I think it's a testament to how different things are with the Yankees this year, that on a whim I woke up on Sunday morning and just felt like getting out and going to the ball game. I wasn't doing that last year. This year, I could tell this product is better, and that's the big thing. Is it's still early. It's still very, very early. Last year, this team started off pretty okay, but I think we kind of knew that a fall off was kind of on the horizon, and it definitely came very soon in later April and in May, when they started losing to teams like the Twins and other teams, and the offense was just not lively. And it's much better this year. The product feels better, and Juan Soto is making a huge impact. But the guy can do the little things so well. We were talking about how, I don't know if we got to say this on the air, but I wanted to tell everyone how, don't expect Juan Soto to hit like 60 home runs. That's something a lot of Yankee fans were saying. Like, oh my God, this guy with Judge, they're going to hit like 150 combined home runs. No, it's not going to happen. Judge is the power bat, but Soto is the pure hitter. Maybe he'll get to 30 home runs if he's lucky, but the guy does everything else so well. He will work counts. He will work counts to full counts. He'll get on base. On Sunday, one of the things on Sunday, everyone talks about the Stanton Grand Slam. I was actually really impressed at Soto's sac fly in like the 8th inning, I think it was, just because he was just reading the situation perfectly. He turned it. I believe that made it not a save situation anymore. Because of that, he didn't, didn't try to go for the 3-run home run, went for the sac fly, drove the ball far enough to left field so that the left fielder for the Jays couldn't make the throw home to get Volpe in time, who, by the way, leads the league in average right now, or leads in Major League Baseball in average right now. He's been phenomenal, and he's leading off tonight, which I know some fans are a little, iffy about, because, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's their mentality. But it is nice to see that he's worked himself up to the leadoff spot, because he's really changing his approach. And I was high on Anthony Volpe going into this year, and he looks like he has established himself, and he's, again, still early in the season, but it looks like he's finally established himself as one of the core players in this organization, one of the guys that you want to buy the jersey of. And I really hope that's the truth. I hope this is not just an overreaction. But yeah, Soto has just been unbelievable. Really, still worth the money, obviously, if he can keep this up, because it's just his presence too. I mean, at the game on Sunday, I look at him in right field, is what I wanted to say earlier. He just fits so perfectly. He's just always talking to the fans. You saw on Monday, I think it was, that he signed an autograph for a fan in the middle of an at bat. It's just he's loving it here. He's loving the fans. He's always riling up the fans in the outfield when he's going out there. He's transcended this organization in so many different ways. He's just so awesome, and we love him here. We hope that this isn't the only year that we have to see him. But apart from the offense, which also, look, Alex Verdugo's had a nice start. I know maybe not the numbers won't be there, but the guy's got 2 home runs, and he's provided good contact. Other than that, listen, Judge is still there. Obviously, Stanton has had a good start to this year, very good. Hopefully, he can keep it up. And other than that, it's just collectively they're doing what good teams do. They're finding ways to win. You hear the usual. Yeah, I'll mention it again because it's what's going on right now, right? Some guys aren't hitting, but some guys are, and there may be a time when Soto and Judge and Stanton aren't hitting, and then these other guys, maybe Glaber, Trevino, maybe Other guys, maybe they'll start to hit. Oh, Cabrera also has had a nice start to the year. So, but that, I mean, that's just what teams that are doing well and are naturally going to do, right? It's everyone's going to pick each other up. It doesn't mean it's going to. This doesn't mean that this is what we're going to see all year. This team will struggle at some point. Now, will they make the playoffs? I think so. I hope so. And I think what we're seeing is that maybe this product is a bit better than we expected, hopefully, at least what we've seen so far. But let's just not get ahead of ourselves. Understand that, like, just like with every single team, every single year, every single team that wins the World Series, that is, they are going to run into struggles at some point. It's not going to be perfect. But to end it off, really, before I hand it over to you, Robbie, the pitching I've also been extremely impressed by. The fact that Garrett Cole is not in this rotation right now, and they are still finding ways to win, finding ways to get out of jams. The bullpen, Jonathan Loizaga, we just found out the awful news that he will be out for the rest of the year. But it doesn't even compare to what we're hearing throughout all of baseball, which is another topic that I think we should discuss. Because I actually think that's the biggest story in baseball right now, is how there's been an epidemic with pitchers getting hurt, and you're hearing guys being asked about it. Guys like Shane Bieber, who I'm a huge fan of, is going to be out for the year. Of course, Jonathan Loizaga, as I mentioned, Spencer Strider's had issues. Framber Valdez from the Astros went on the injured list. Nick Pivetta from the Red Sox went on the injury list. A lot of good pitchers, and there are probably more that I'm forgetting about right now. Oh yeah, the young one from Miami, Aori Perez, is also going to be out for the year. This is awful for baseball. These are great pitchers, and in 30 years from now, we want to be able to talk about the pitching of this generation. And we want to be able to look back on Shane Bieber as one of the great pitchers in Cleveland's history. We don't want to know him as that one guy who could have, but he had those arm injuries. We don't want to do that. We want to look back on these guys' careers fine. We want them to be healthy. We want them to perform. And it just stinks that there's this epidemic going around. What could be the cause of that? I think it's multifactorial, of course, but I think we'll get into that in a second. But just getting back to the Yankees, the ability to get through those big injuries. And the bullpen with of course Clay Holmes, who's been excellent to start the year. Ian Hamilton's been great. Victor Gonzalez, I like what I'm seeing with him, and also Nick Birdy. I know his control's a little off, but I like his stuff, and I think he can be a big arm in this bullpen. Caleb Ferguson has been really good as well, and with the starting rotation, Nestor has done a good job at pitching well after the first inning, and he had an excellent 8-inning start on Monday against the Marlins. Other guys, Stroman, of course, hasn't given up a earned run yet. He's been amazing so far. Rodon has really opened up eyes. He's been phenomenal. I said he was the biggest wild card for this team going into the year. And, I mean, we're seeing it. This team's winning, and it's a big reason for that is because he's pitching well. Luis Hill, out of the 5th spot, has been great. His stuff looks excellent. And then Clark Schmidt's looked all right. I think he can get a lot better. I think he is better than what we've seen from him. But overall, listen, it's been amazing, but definitely don't want to get ahead of ourselves because there's still a lot of season left.
Chris's mindset about this whole Yankees discussion is 100% accurate. I 100% agree with you on that. We've seen great teams with a lot of potential recently. Not going to name any teams, Mets, that have had really good starts to the year and have cooling off dramatically. Chris is right saying that fans need to relax, maybe need to relax a little bit. Yeah, they're going to be good. They're going to be a great team. They're a great team on paper. They made a lot of great additions to this year. But I want to bring in this perspective. This team right now, the way they're playing is solid. They've looked great. And while they are absolutely mashing on the Marlins, another team that I will talk about much later in the show, they're beating teams that they needed to beat. They started off near perfectly with that game against the Astros on day one. I think that was a perfect way to start this entire season. You see your new addition, throw out someone at home to basically end the game. Awesome. I love it. I'm a fan of this. I love defense. But I like the idea of Soto I love Soto. We've seen him ball out in the Northeast before. We're seeing it on repeat, and I love it. And that's exactly what a team like the Yankees needed. They needed another star next to Aaron Judge, and they're getting what they were asking for. Now, will Soto probably be asking for a ridiculous contract in a couple of months, and you might not see him in pinstripes anymore? Maybe. But for what you have right now is a star. You have a real number 2 star. And that's exactly what you're hoping for in that offense. An offense last year that really underperformed. This year has looked great. Now, I want to bring up the pitcher injuries. Chris led me into that. Some pitchers we have lost this year. He named a couple. We lost Shane Bieber. We've lost Yuri Perez. But recently, even when the pitch clock started, look at the other pitchers we don't even have this year. Alcantara, McClanahan, 2 guys who could be in a Cy Young conversation. And also with Bieber, we don't know how much longer he's going to be in a Guardians jersey. It's a weird thought to have. And is it the pitch clock's fault? Maybe. Is it some players not doing enough in spring training? We don't know. But the way this whole start to the season has played out has been so random that I think we, instead of the Mets, because they've been terrible, they did beat the Braves. They've beat the Braves. That's all they've done. You went out. In Cincinnati. No, I have to talk about this. No, we're not talking about the rest of the teams yet. I will bring up the Mets. What the heck was that against Milwaukee? Like, listen.
Okay,
I am all for. Actually, not really. I saw what happened with Rhys Hoskins. The way they handled it.
Yeah, no, that was.
You don't even see that in a game with 12-year-olds.
Yeah, you
what
can't
the
handle it that
heck
way.
was that?
Then they threw at him like way after the fact.
Yeah.
No,
It's
they
like-
threw at him and it hit the freaking screen.
Yeah.
Like it was
Can't
like
do that.
20 feet behind him and 5 feet above him. He got thrown out, which was correct.
If you're gonna get thrown out, at least hit the guy. I mean, like,
But you don't even throw that high either.
yeah.
Like as a pitcher, I've noticed this from my brother. Shout out to my brother Andrew, D1 baseball commit. The one thing you do if you're trying to retaliate is you hit someone right in the numbers. Numbers are lower. What the? You could say he lost grip of the ball.
Severino should have hit him.
I don't buy it. I don't even think they should have retaliated at all because I don't even think what Hoskins did wasn't that terrible.
Yeah, but I also
They handled it like
I
they're
just think
babies.
even the message, like even if you you don't think Hoskins is wrong, it's just like I think the Mets have just been babied by other teams for so long. I think they got to set a narrative, and I listen.
That's
okay,
not the right
if
narrative, though, to
if
be
you don't
honest.
want to get into any trouble, then fine, then don't hit him at all. But they went the route of we don't want Severino to get suspended, so we're gonna have this reliever throw at him, and he actually didn't get him, and then it just led to it was just not the right way of handling it. So if they were gonna retaliate,
They
I
should have
think
done it earlier.
Severino should have been the one.
They should have
to do
done it in the first. If you really think about it, I do denounce this. But if you were really going to do it, you should have done it in the first at bat of that game with Hoskins, not wait until his fourth. Because Hoskins had a great series. I gotta give it to him. He looked great, and it's annoying because this dude has terrorized the Mets for the better part of 4 years, at least. Because he was in Philadelphia and he destroyed the Mets. I don't hate Rhys Hoskins, but the Mets followed it up by getting basically owned by the Tigers for the most part, even though they had 2 games rained out. They played that doubleheader. The Mets actually won a game. It took them forever. They were not the last team to win a game. They were not last. We were 29th. I hate this. It's annoying. But at the end of the day, this team, I mean, there's an overreaction a little bit with the Nationals. There's been an overreaction with a bunch of other teams that we'll address later. But the Mets are at 4-7. I mean, they won last night against Atlanta. Good for them. Go right ahead. I don't know. But actually, they won 2 nights ago against Atlanta. My mistake. But they played the Reds. They look decent against a solid Cincinnati team, I think, on paper. They're playing tonight. They don't play today. News to me.
Yeah, I got postponed.
That's right.
Also, in other news, I think Senga just got moved to the 60-day
Yes, he did. I was just
IL.
about to address that. Senga's to the 60-day IL. This pitching staff is in shambles. The Mets team season's in the actually, this is going to fit very well with the Mets narrative if you really think about it. Because when do Mets seasons typically end? June. When does Senga return? June. So if he sucks, like, which I don't think he will, he'll be the only bright spot in that pitching rotation. They'll probably all be on the injured list by June. Colin, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well,
Mets
at
team?
least you have Edwin back in the bullpen.
They do. He looks great,
It was
by the
cool
way.
to see
Thank
him
God
back
he's
there
back.
for sure. Overall with the Mets though, I mean, I think that I saw a lot of like Mets fans like acting like the sky was falling, but I think kind of what Steve Cohen was addressing is that like this is not going to be a contending team. So I mean, like obviously the Mets want to do better. You want to see more success than they had. I mean, obviously opening day where you only get like what 1-2 free hits. That's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. But if the Mets don't make the playoffs this year, I don't think it's the end of the world because they've even said themselves that after trading away Scherzer, trading away Verlander, that they're still kind of a couple of years out. So just as long as I start to see, more developmental pieces, I mean, Brett Beatty, hope that you can see him, develop a little bit more, get a little bit better. I think Francisco Alvarez as well. If we can start to see more improvement out of those guys, I can start to see some success for the Mets. I don't think the Mets have the same idea as the Yankees as to where they have to make the playoffs or they want to contend. So just like I said, incremental progress, obviously being the Reds is better or being the Braves is good. Just should be a little bit better than you were in the Milwaukee series. At least give some fans some optimism. I think that's all the Mets really need this year.
Yeah, and for me, listen, it could always be worse, right? It could always be worse. After the first 3 games, I was also concerned for the Mets because even though Steve Cohen said they didn't want to win, but this is still a team that I think I thought still has a chance to somehow be in the mix, right? I think when you look at the National League, there are a lot of those. There are a lot of those teams that are kind of fringe, that are good, like the Reds, like the Cubs, like the Cardinals, and I mean, where they looking good, of course, but like even like the Padres and Diamondbacks, right? And I know the Padres, but the Diamondbacks, even the National League champions, I just think they want to get back there. There are a lot of teams that are trying to get back there, but may have to fight for it. I think definitely the Braves and Dodgers are going to cruise there. I don't know. I guess I would say the Phillies and Diamondbacks will get there as well, but I think it's still there are a lot of teams in the National League, more so than I think than in the American League, of teams that are kind of on the fringe, and I think the Mets can be one of those teams. After the first 3 games, I was concerned. I really was. I didn't think that. I thought maybe this product will be even worse than Met fans. Met fans are usually pretty negative, right, for the most part, and I can't blame them. Of course, I can't, but I thought even this team would be worse than most Met fans were claiming it would be, right?
Tells
After
me
the
that
first
bad.
3 games, especially after the Tigers and Mets, the Tigers for the first 2 games against the Tigers. But once they won that first game, they get the series win in Cincy, and they go to Atlanta, and they take that first game, which is a game they never win. They never win that game in Atlanta. That game, they lose 10 times out of 10, and then they lose yesterday, but they fought back in the ninth. A couple of times the Mets have fought back late in games. It's definitely it's a good sign. And Steve Cohen also, another thing he said recently was that it's still early in the season, of course. That it's still early in the season. I don't know how much longer you can say that. For me, I think teams, fans, and owners should stop saying it's early in the season to excuse the way their teams have played once you hit that 2.5 to 3 week mark.
Really? That early?
Because at that point
I
you've
thought
played
April.
like 5 or 6
I thought I
series.
saw May. I was thinking May for that.
Well, because then there's the saying that you can't win the division in April, but you can definitely lose it.
Right.
So if you're in a hole, if you put yourself in a huge hole, and especially in this division where the Braves are, you can't give the Braves any breathing room, and you're gonna have a lot of teams you give the Braves any breathing room, they're gonna cruise with the division. And the other teams, there are plenty of those teams that are fighting for the wild card. You're going to put yourself in a position to fight for a spot. You definitely don't want to put yourself in that big of a hole in April in the first 3 weeks. So that's why I say that for the fans, I guess there's still always a chance that they can cruise in May and June, but you always want to start off the season pretty well. And that's why I say that 3 week mark is for me the cutoff when you should stop saying it's early in the season and realize maybe this is who we are. Because even if we go on that run, we're going to look back in the games in April that we lost and be like, well, if we would have played a little better then, we would have, maybe been in it, been a better, more of a contender. But I think definitely it's at least getting a split here in Atlanta is crucial for the Mets.
Agreed.
Then they come home though, where it gets interesting for me is they
Royals.
play the Royals and the Pirates, who have kind of those 2 teams underrated, maybe, possibly.
The Pirates played
making.
Did you see what the Pirates have beaten though?
Yeah, well, I mean,
They beat
it's
the
the
Marlins
Orioles.
and the
No, the
Nationals.
Orioles.
They did beat
And
the Orioles.
They looked great against the
They did
Orioles,
look good
who are on top of the baseball world right now. I think in general, the Pirates are looking all right. I feel like they always do this though, but that's why it's interesting for me. Is I think they gotta set an example of this is who we are, and we're not gonna let the Pirates be that other fringe wild card team in the National League. So I'm interested to see. It's definitely gotten a bit better, but again, still early in the year. We have no idea what we're gonna see from either team. But although the Yankees product does look good.
One quick topic for you guys before you head out. I know you've been we talked about this a lot on this show. I want your guys' thoughts on the Oakland situation because they brought up Aaron Judge. And I feel like it's the last topic before you guys head out for the night. I feel like it's a perfect way to end it for you guys. So, Chris, we're going to save your comments for after Colin. So I'll let Colin talk about this first. What are your thoughts on what John Fisher said in that press conference?
It's just bad for baseball. I mean, you would have ideally have liked them to stay in Oakland until they make the move to Vegas, but they're going into this ballpark in Sacramento, and John Fisher says that, we're going to see players like Aaron Judge hit home runs out of this ballpark, which, of course, I would love to see Aaron Judge hit home runs out of that ballpark, but, I mean, you can't name a player on your team. You can't, do you even know a player on your team, John Fisher? But regardless of that, also another news with the A's, I actually heard that they're not going to go by the Oakland A's in Sacramento. They're going to go by just the A's. So there's going to be no city in front of them, which is almost unprecedented. Because on the scorebook, are we just going to see A's? I don't know what we're going to. This is really something we've never seen before in sports. It just sucks for these fans. I mean, the A's were once a proud organization, right? They won World Series, not that long. I mean, just a couple of years ago, they were in wild card contention. They were a good baseball team. Just the fact that they fell like this, it's so sad to see for that fan base. John Fisher, to me, obviously the worst owner in sports at this point. Maybe you could argue him or David Tepper to the Carolina Panthers, both very bad for their own sports, but you just hate to see it. Obviously, would have liked to have set an actual player on the Oakland A's there in that press conference, but it seems like they're basically just mailing it away into Las Vegas until they start to actually try to be a real baseball team. So for now, we'll let them see them play their games. Hopefully, they're not as awful. Hopefully, the fans who still decide to stick with that team they can at least see some things they can be positive about. Who knows if the A's will deliver, but I'll leave it to you, Chris. But overall, man, it just sucks for the league that the A's are like that right now.
Yeah, look, I don't think I need to make my opinion on the matter known. I think it's well documented that I hate what's going on in Oakland. I hate the way it's been handled. I hate the way the fans have been treated because they've been antagonized in this situation, in my opinion. Baseball has sided with John Fisher, as it tends to do, right? It tends to side with the owners. But listen, baseball is a business, and if they believe that the better business decision would be to move the team to Vegas, fine. But you don't have to antagonize the fans the way you have, right? You don't have to, completely get right. It's as if they're offended by being in Oakland, that we have to get rid of this Oakland name. Sacramento is also in Northern California. I don't know geographically. I don't know how far it is from the city of Oakland. I don't, again, it's in the same state, in the same part of the state. They're both in Northern California, but I don't see why you, for example, I know it's a very different situation, but I remember the Raptors played in Tampa Bay for a little bit, right, Colin, in 2020 or something.
Yeah.
Right, they didn't become the Tampa Bay Raptors for a little bit.
No.
So I'm just saying you could keep the Oakland name for a couple more years while you're in Sacramento. It's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Or you just call yourself the Sacramento A's.
Exactly.
What's the big difference?
Sure. Well, yeah. That for just to have a name. But what I'm saying is the fact that they're not having a name at all tells me that they're offended by the name Oakland. That they don't even want to be associated with the city of Oakland, or even give the impression that they ever played in Oakland. They want to erase this history, and that's what's pissed me off about this whole situation. Is if you want to move over there for business, fine, but you don't have to erase this history. They're trying to create this narrative. If you watch the trailer of Moneyball, you see the scene of when David Justice had to buy his own soda at the vending machine, and then Brad Pitt had the line, or Billy Bean had the quote. I don't know if he actually said this, but the quote of there are good rich teams, poor teams, 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. That's what they're trying to paint here. But and that's the thing with Moneyball, because yeah, maybe the actual analytics that they use in the movie or at that during that team, maybe that's not exactly used today. But what they really changed, what that team did was it was an example of how baseball was evolving into a sport where you don't have to have the number one payroll to win. As long as you have the fan base, as long as you have the drive to win, the care, the aspiration, to want to get better, you can always find a way. And that was one of the prime examples. They didn't win the World Series, but they got there. They got to the playoffs. This is a team that historically has won a lot of championships, and a lot of those championships have come in Oakland. This has not been, there are teams that are in much worse situations right now, or and in terms of not winning in their cities than the Oakland A's. Just a couple years ago in 2020, this team won the division. This was a good team at a good core, but they decided to break it up because they wanted to move to Vegas. That's what they wanted. That's what mattered more to them, and that's just that. It just gets me so mad that they treated the fans this way. Because I'll tell you this: I was reading a comment that someone made on an Instagram post about this, and it was an Oakland fan saying, respectfully, I'm just not going to be a baseball fan anymore. This game, this owner has just killed my love for the game. I'm not going to follow this team to Vegas, right? I'm not. I'm sorry. I want to. This was my childhood team. I grew up loving this organization, but they've just killed my love for it. It's just clear that it's a business. And listen, again, I'll say it for the third time that baseball is business. They believe that the better business move is to move to Vegas, but it still hurts me that involves antagonizing this fan base and just wiping out this fan base that you had in Northern California, and just letting that be run by the San Francisco Giants, because I know a lot of Oakland fans don't like the Giants and they wouldn't want to root for them. So a lot of people are going to just stop watching baseball over there. And it stinks. Listen, I know business wise, it's not going to hurt baseball all that much. I guess they think it's going to be better in Vegas. Fine. But it just hurts me that it could come at the expense of these big fans in Oakland. And it just, I don't know if I'll be able to get over it. I guess I got to get to the Coliseum sometime this year. I don't know if that's going to happen, though, but I've always wanted to go there because I know it's a quirky stadium and it's got a good history and good fans. And I always wanted to do that, but I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to do that. But it just pisses me off. But we'll see what happens. It can't end like this, I feel like, but unfortunately, I guess that's just the reality of things. So I guess that's going to do it for us.
Yep,
that's for
but,
these two.
Robbie's got the last half.
We
have
a guest, and he'll be coming in right now. So we'll do a little intermission.
Thank you to our viewers. Take it away, boys.
So first of all, like the stream, GG's in the chat for these two. But we have our guest coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing esports commentator Cameron Woolley to the stream. Welcome.
What's up? What's up?
C's in the chat for Cameron.
What's up? What's up?
Welcome
What's up
this man to the stream.
What's up? What's up?
Sit down, bro. Come on now. For those who don't know, Cameron Woolley was part of the draft stream from last year. We will be doing another ad for the draft stream momentarily, but he hosts the show Ball Knowers. And ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know who I am. I'm Robbie Basil. And this year, ladies and gentlemen, will be the second annual, I'll call it annual now, WIUR NFL draft stream hosted by not only Into the Stands this year, but Ball Knowers will be joining myself as the main host for NFL Draft 2024. It feels weird to be not doing it with my main co-host and Colin and Chris. And last year was a lot of fun doing it with those guys, but a little bit of a change. And I think we found the perfect people to do it with. So Cam, first of all, welcome to a different show for, I think, like one of the first times for you.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad to be here. Like I have a lot of respect for what you, Colin, and Chris do. I was listening in there, just getting ready to come in, and you guys just do a fantastic job. I mean, you need no introduction, but like Colin, even though you're the headliner here, you sort of point guard everything, but like all three of you just do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And I'm excited. It's an honor, really, to be being not only on the draft stream again, but also hosting it. this time.
It's a little bit of a difference for change.
I mean, yeah, it's different. I mean, I still haven't gotten started on my board. Like, I gotta make a big board. I might
He's committing this year, chat. I'm serious. Even though there might not be a lot of you in this stream today, this man will commit for the draft stream, and I love it. That's exactly what we needed.
Yeah,
when I found out that Colin and Chris unfortunately couldn't do it this year, I asked a lot of people. I did. I really did. But really, at the end of the day, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why not go with my guy Cam? It'd be awesome to have you here. You'll be able to really bring the energy, because last year, if you remember, for those who watched the stream last year, Cam and I sat right here, and we shared a mic. We shared a mic. We did share a mic back when in the days when it was only 2 microphones, and the Giants traded up to draft Deontay Banks, and no one knew what was going on.
Oh my God. I was sort of in a clue. So I figured they were going to go corner, because
we both did.
And you remember, I was pounding the table like receiver, because this was when we still thought that Daniel Jones was going to make progress, because, coming off the playoff win, the sentiment about the Giants 12 months ago is a lot different than the sentiment about the Giants now, because the sentiment 12 months ago is that, this is a team that made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They seem like they're a couple pieces away. You have a quarterback who can win you games, who can win you a playoff game. He can perform in high pressure situations. And now it's almost like the last year never happened. The quarterback that you once believed in is out of he's on his way out of the league. He has an out after his contract, or after next season. So there's a very high chance that he isn't starting for the Giants, let alone the Giants, the NFL, the year after. And there's a lot of talk Giants in the 6th overall pick. That little Tommy Cutlets run might have actually, no, not might have. It did win them out of a premium spot to draft a Caleb Williams, Drake Mayer, Jaden Daniels.
Listen, I know that feeling. We lost out on Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson, so I know exactly.
That Trevor Lawrence hasn't really been.
But he's still been the best quarterback.
I mean, he's still been the best quarterback from that class. But that class it's turned out to be horrible.
Not named Brock Purdy, and Trevor Lawrence. That draft class has been, in a word, terrible. But I want to bring this up for you, because you just heard. I don't know if you were able to hear from the other room. Colin and Chris were talking about the recent move with Oakland going to Sacramento. Hearing that entire move in general, I feel like it would be kind of perfect, because these two have been really frustrated with this move. I think we need another perspective. What were your thoughts on the recent move and the comments from John Fisher about the next A's move to Sacramento, California?
I haven't had the displeasure of reading what he said. But I have been following the A's enough in the last year, 2 years now, with all the speculation where they're basically all but confirmed to be moving to Vegas. I think it's despicable what that owner has done to that fan base, not only depriving them of a winning team, but doing so blatantly just so he can get the team to move to Vegas. And then I guarantee the moment they go to Vegas, that's when they're going to start trying. I think it was Colin who said, it was either Colin or Chris, who said something that's like, the A is, they're mailing it in. They're throwing.
Right.
For the next few years, they're going to throw this year in Oakland. They're going to throw next year in Sacramento. Their Twitter replies are turned off.
That's insane.
So
That's
they're
insane.
like never death. Like from a PR perspective, imagine being the PR guy.
I would just resign.
No, I can't speak from. I'm not going to attack any professional in this industry.
Exactly.
Like in terms of what they do. It's like, sure, like I can talk about stuff that people say like on the radio. I can, and I have on numerous occasions about many high level people in the industry. But what the A's are doing, it's just undefendable as a fan. And sure, like at certain points, there comes like a time where as a fan, you're just so jaded with the team losing and not trying that you're just like, okay, fine. We'll move. Let him go away. And I felt that way about the Devils for quite a few years where I'm just like, why bother even having the team here in this fledgling market where there's already multiple other teams who are outdoing you in your own state?
Right.
So, like, part of me thinks, like, why bother? Again, you only think about that. You can only think that for so long until it actually happens to another fan base, and you're like, wow.
You realize how bad it is.
Like I'm realizing how bad it is. Like seeing the, like, imagine, like I can just imagine like it's like the A's have a little bit of prestige to them. Like think about the Giants that this was never happen.
Right.
This would never happen. But like imagine the Giants just mailing it in for a decade straight.
I mean, the Jets have basically done that. But,
I mean, the Jets. Okay, it's been a bit. It's been a bit more than a decade for the Jets.
we made the playoffs though 10 years ago. 11, 12,
14.
Chat. Put how many years it's been.
After next season, it's going to be 14 years with no playoffs for the Jets. So those are okay.
So
I will give you that. Those are some really good Jet teams, though.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I love those teams, dude. Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan. All I'm saying, dude, Rex Ryan was the best coach that you guys have had in the 21st century.
That is true.
I'm just gonna throw it out there.
It's sad, but it's true.
What do you mean sad, dude? Rex Ryan. Short shelf life, more like an NHL coach.
Yeah,
but he got you 2 straight AFC championship
yeah,
games
and then nothing else.
with Mark Sanchez.
It feels bad that the Jets have had chances to be great, and they've had so many great players, and he just never could put it together.
Yeah,
I'll tell you some names. The Jets recently, for those who don't know, have loved to rip my heart and soul about players I like, and then they either ruin them or they leave or they get traded. I'll name you some players.
But hold on. Like, speaking of relocation, there's a thing in the NHL going on. The Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, yes.
The Arizona Coyotes, they're going through the same thing.
Yes.
And the Coyotes have kind of been a project.
They've been rumored about it because of the situations.
Dude, they play at the Arizona State Hockey Arena. They're paying royalties to a that's like if the Rangers played at Heinz.
Right.
Right down the road. And like Iona, like they used to have a hockey team. I hate that they don't anymore because that would be so fun.
We're a small school, damn it. We're too small to have a hockey team. No, Quinnipiac, though, they say we're as big as Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac is like double our size.
Well, they have the Quinnipiac poll. Like there's prestige there. Because like you see during election year, you're going to be seeing it a lot more now. You're going to see the Quinnipiac poll come out. That's
right.
Like it's historically one of the most reliable ones. They're also running esports too in the MAC, which don't get me started on that.
This guy,
not get me started on what Quinnipiac has done to MAC esports.
This guy, by the way, for those who don't know, or are new to the stream, which if you're new to the stream, what the hell have you been doing? Have you been living under a rock for 3 months? But this guy is the main broadcaster for Iona Esports. He was in Atlantic City doing MAC Esports. It was for a time where this guy, you could make an argument, was the biggest broadcaster at this school. And you could still make the argument. Some say it's me. I don't think it's me.
Me. In terms of like student broadcasters, I'm not really one to toot my own horn that much. I don't like to say
guy.
Like I don't like bragging that. I grew up. Eli Manning's my idol, and that guy never said anything about anybody until he retired.
Of course.
So like, and then now Eli Manning runs his mouth like nobody's business. And I love him, but like no, like you and me are both doing good stuff.
It feels weird. It's a shame
that esports isn't really getting as much recognition. I mean, like I could go in for hours,
right,
talking about the stuff that, like, because I'm like I have better insight to what happens in that program and the inner workings, especially on the social media and broadcasting end of it, better than anybody. Better than like maybe like 10 other people on this campus.
They say better than most folks. with many things in your life. We heard it first with Tiger Woods, and then I think 2000 and no, it was before. I don't even know what year it was at the Masters. Speaking of the Masters, I am addressing that briefly at the end of the show.
Oh,
but
this weekend? Wait, it's this weekend?
It starts tomorrow.
Oh,
and I
gotta think about that.
And because
I might text you.
Yeah,
like
and because
about the Masters, because like I love full disclosure. I am a golf respecter.
Yes,
I love whenever I sit down to watch the Masters. Like with my dad, I remember last year it fell on Easter, the final round, and I remember like we were like
you're locked in.
It was my dad and my uncle and I. We were just watching like what did Phil Mickelson shoot like 65. On the final round, like Phil Mickelson with his fresh from the Middle East tan, from Live Golf, like going in. PGA wanted nothing to do with him.
They don't.
Like they barely showed him at all. Like PGA got their marching order, or CBS got their marching orders from PGA, talking about do not show Phil Mickelson. We want nothing to do with Phil Mickelson. And then he ended up getting like tied for second.
I don't know what
in the tournament. Like he was. It was something ridiculous.
But I just want to bring up something again because for those, like I said, this guy does esports. He's great at it. I mean, I will say it. What both of us do, but for those who don't know as well, I'm an ESPN broadcaster.
That's a bit more prestigious.
But he's done bigger events than I have, which some I know for talking to people personally think that is, in a word, outrageous, but it's not, because what this guy's worked the MAC tournament, chat, the MAC tournament, ladies and gentlemen. He's gone to Atlantic City and has called games
on school dime.
Exactly, which makes me even more jealous because I would love to miss school to do MAC esports. But you know what? It's been crazy, but it's always just coming back to my mind now that both of us get to share different mics in 2 weeks from tomorrow night.
Oh, dude, that's I can't wait. I cannot wait. Giants have a high pick.
We have a high pick.
Again, like talking about the sentiment. No, there are 3 ways I want the Giants to go.
Let's hear it
with this draft. So first of all, I want them to take if one of May or Daniels falls to 6, or if the Giants trade up. If there's any way where Drake May or Jaden Daniels become available to the Giants, whether that be through them slipping or through the Giants trading up, that is the number one thing I want them to do. I think Drake May and Jaden Daniels, although Daniels a little bit more raw, has a little bit more issues than May, but
he has the build and the arm talent to justify.
Like, well, he has talent. Exactly. He has a significant amount of talent. I think he has higher upside than Drake May.
Absolutely. I mean,
to be honest,
I mean, you saw with Drake May. I think is the. I have no disrespect towards Drake May. I've watched the film; he's great, but I feel like he's going to be the fraud of this year's draft. He played at North Carolina, played in a bad ACC. He struggled in a bad ACC and showed a lot of flaws in the ACC this year. That team, very high upside, didn't really live up to potential. The difference with Daniels, and this is why I think he should be the second quarterback picked in the draft, even though I actually don't think it's going to happen. Daniels he
played in the SEC.
He played in the SEC.
The gauntlet of college football.
But here's the difference. You can make the argument, which is why I don't like JJ McCarthy, that they let Daniels commanded that offense.
Yeah.
You saw how bad, if you watch college football this year,
he won the Heisman.
He behind an LSU defense that has more holes than a donut. It has a bigger hole than a regular donut from Dunkin' Donuts.
No, you'll see more holes in the LSU defense than you will at the Dunkin' right down the road.
Exactly. Which, if you go there on a Sunday morning, there's a lot. You get the idea. But at the end of the day, Daniels, what he offers is so much greater than Drake May. If you think Drake May or McCarthy are on the board, you can really make an argument that the Giants can trade down, because I think there are multiple quarterbacks a little bit later in the first round that have higher upside and bigger talent than
you don't settle.
May and McCarthy. One of my guys who I'm a big fan of, and you saw it in the college football playoff, other than the national championship, was Michael Penix. He is older. He has a little bit of an injury history, which is why I think he'll fall down more than he actually is going to. You can add that in as well. But you can argue a guy like a Bo Nix. He arm talent, mobility. He's a taller, stronger, better version of. He's basically what the Giants thought Daniel Jones is going to be. At that high of potential
for some reason
already.
For some reason.
So he has the potential to be great. And with what
overall.
he can be, he
Okay.
will be better than May and McCarthy. Because I think always have been behind the idea that JJ McCarthy is more
There's
mid than
no
people
reason.
expect because he played in a system where they don't throw the ball, which is going to hurt Justin Herbert, by the way. But in saying that, the problem is going to be for one of these quarterbacks, it's going to be a system thing. Like, if you really think about it, Washington
Well, I mean, that's the
are
whole
going to be,
thing with-
if you think about it, Jaden Daniels going to Washington. Pair 2 and 2 together. What was the Washington Commanders' best thing? They were their best trait last year. How many yards did Sam Howell throw? How many touchdowns did he have? Did he turn the ball over? Heck yeah. He had basically a equivalent of a season of Jameis Winston. But they threw the ball a lot. Pair that with Jaden Daniels, I think that can be really solid for them. But I also think if you
I will never trust. Okay, now I'm one of those people who's like, I am a show me the money fan.
right.
It's like I'll believe it when I see it. And one of those things is the Washington football team, because I am never calling them the Commanders. Once you voluntarily call yourselves the football team
That was beautiful.
as an NFL franchise and say it with your chest, you don't just I don't drop that.
They have more.
Like you don't
divisions.
just let that go.
They have the same amount. How many times? So when they were the football team, they wanted how many? They have more division titles this decade than the Giants do, and then
And
Giants team was
that's-
so much better than the freaking Commanders team from that won the division.
Yeah,
Tank division
that
was beautiful.
Dude, that was the most beautiful football season ever. Like I loved being a fan in the NFC East that year because everybody was just admitting it's like, yeah, we're terrible. None of us should win this division. Like there was a rare moment of unity between all of the NFC East fan bases because it's not like now where the Eagles and Cowboys fans can just lord over everybody else. It's like, yeah, we're so much better than you. And then Giants and football team fans are just like, yeah, we get it. Although even then, football team fans don't have the luxury of beating the Giants.
That is very true.
Because we own them for some reason.
That's very true. That is a very
Dude, us sweeping them is what's going to get them Jaden Daniels or Drake May.
exactly.
But anyways, back to what I was saying before. Like, I agree with your point on the system thing. I don't trust Washington as a franchise
right.
to be able to properly develop a quarterback and not ruin him, because like talking about RG3, it's like, oh, what about RG3? I'm sure some of you are thinking. Here's the thing, they did develop him. He was amazing. Believe me, I was not looking forward to dealing with RG3 in my division for the next 20 years.
Alvin went really
And then they ruined him. They rushed him back from his injuries, and he ended up being ruined, and they cooked him.
and now he's an analyst on ESPN.
That's a pretty cushy gig, dude.
That is true.
Like for former athletes, if you have a personality, dude, you're set. That's your pension. That's your pension.
there
You
you
talk
go,
about football, you watch football, you're an expert. If you have a good personality, everybody loves you. Dude, think about like inside the NBA on TNT. Think about Charles Barkley and Shaq. Dude, those guys are amazing. And if you like the TNT NBA halftime report is the only halftime report I will actually lock in and watch, because Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals last year between the Heat and the Celtics, my dad and I, like, normally at halftime, that's when we like go around, we get snacks, we yap about random stuff. But then like during the halftime, he's like, quick, get back. Shaq and Charles Barkley are about to be on, and then lock in and you listen to them, because not only are they hilarious, they know what they're talking about. So like, little tangent from me there. Trust me, we're gonna be on the air for 5 hours, dude. Trust me.
Yeah.
This will be helpful.
The tangents here. Speaking of tangents, that is what this half an hour with Cam is essentially is. Because this is what happened. I found out that Colin and Chris were going to be leaving mid-show 2 minutes before we went live. So right before we went live, I texted you.
Yeah, you texted me.
That
and
was
I'm like-
probably the
And
weirdest.
like, you know, I'm like down the hall.
Exactly.
Like all day, I'm just down the hall, and I'm like, sure.
like let's join your future host of the stream for the NFL draft, which is going to be awesome.
No, I
We do
can't
have
wait.
possibilities for people yet, but we can't announce them yet because no one's confirmed yet. We might
one's
have people confirmed for next week, so make sure to check out this show next week. What else? I mean, there has to be one more. Oh, quickly, we have 3 minutes left before we get to shout you out later. Who is the MLB team right now that surprised you the most? Besides the Yankees, who's the team that surprised? Positive or negative? Who's the team that surprised you the most? I'll start.
Okay, you start.
I'll let him get some research. The team that has surprised me the most. There's a lot of options here. I'm gonna just shout them out because they've beat the Nationals or whatever. I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the most surprising team to start this season. Not named the Royals. I was gonna do the Royals, but they are frauds, so I'm gonna go with the bigger frauds. I'm going with Pittsburgh.
And the Royals are in the fraud division. The
That
AL
is Tank
Central.
Division 2, ladies and gentlemen.
I wish the Yankees were in the AL Central.
I think everyone wishes they're in the AL Central. I mean, we might have seen the last AL Central run with Shane Bieber. Think about it. He's going to be out. He's going to be in contract years soon enough. I think he actually might be a free agent.
Look for the Yankees to get him because no, I'm not going to.
I don't know.
Ryan Cashman
We'll
right now.
find out. But the Pittsburgh Pirates, who I had in my season predictions on my show, which I will be shouting out very briefly in a couple of minutes. I did not have a lot of hope for them. They had a lot of potential. They have some players who can rise up, but I didn't really buy them. They have Mitch Keller. They have some other good pieces. David Bednar's been terrible. This team makes no sense. They're 9-3 because they've beaten the Nationals and they've beaten who else did they beat? They beat
I think they beat the Orioles once.
They beat the Orioles once. Did they beat the Rockies? I swear this.
They
also beat the Rockies.
Like also when you're talking about early in the season, you're gonna deal with some whacked out like
they beat
Boston.
the Marlins.
It's like the Marlins, who the Yankees have been. The Yankees have been running over for the last 2 games. So like you're gonna end up with some whacked out records in the middle of April. You're gonna end up with the Red Sox being 7-4. You're gonna end up with the Tigers and Royals being 7-4. You're gonna end up with the Pirates being 9-3.
But you always have.
You're gonna end up with the Diamondbacks, pennant winners, by the way, being 5-7. But my surprise team, I'm gonna go on the negative side. Go to the American League, the Houston Astros.
Ooh, I like
the
that.
Houston Astros.
Love that.
Is a team like we talked about the A's. The Astros are below the A's in the ALS right now. Now again,
half a game.
12 games in.
Half a game behind.
Yeah, half a game. Still being remotely any games behind the A's, no matter what decimal point. It's a terrible, terrible black eye on your baseball team. Because as I mentioned before, they're throwing blatantly, just outwardly throwing. John Fisher isn't even trying to hide it. He's throwing. He's doing what the evil lady in Major League was trying to do.
That's an awesome reference. I would have never thought of that. I just did an assignment for a media class that you're going to be in later tonight about Major League. I did it for my class on Monday. But that's a phenomenal reference, by the way. Before I let Cam do his shout out, this next clip's going to be on my show. So, hi, my show. But that's going to be going on tomorrow, I think. Hello. It's time to pick the Masters. I have to do this because I was supposed to do it on Tuesday, but I was supposed to stream yesterday. But the people who are close to me know that I couldn't stream yesterday. So I'm going to pick the Masters. Cam, you can give some insight if you want to as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Masters. How this usually works is I usually pick people that aren't favored to win because, let's be honest, picking the favorite is boring as heck because I can go out here and talk for 6 hours about Scotty Scheffler winning this thing. I'm not doing it. So here's how this works. I usually pick, for those who don't know, I pick 2 people who are favored in the top 10 of the betting odds, according to CBS, and then we go with 2 wild cards because we love the wild cards. And the wild card picks last year, if you remember, the PGA almost won me. I almost picked the right wild card winner. So that would have been awesome. But let's break it down, shall we? So my winners. My first winner, ladies and gentlemen, we are going with my Norwegian friend, Victor Hovland. Right now, he's at plus 22, 2,200. He actually had a hole-in-one today, which is usually a good sign.
Oh,
He's been balling out. He's last year's FedEx Cup winner. I predicted him to win the FedEx Cup at the end of last season. He's striking the ball well. He's driving the ball great. A little bit inconsistent with some of the shots here and there. He hasn't had the greatest start ever to a season. He hasn't won yet. I don't believe so, at least. But the odds with him winning right now, there's a lot of good players in front of him. A lot of people are going to look out for your Scotty Schefflers, your Rory McIlroy, Koepka, Ron, Wyndham Clark's going to be in the conversation. But why not throw a guy who's won a FedEx Cup, a guy who's been in contention for U.S. Opens? Even as an amateur, he was the highest finishing amateur. He made a cut as an amateur in the U.S. Open years ago. He's been in conversations for majors before. Him, along with my other pick, both have yet to win a major. One of them has won a gold medal. We'll talk about him next. And this is the year that I really have to see him emerge. I want him to win the major. I think this is the perfect time. And the next one, the people who know my streams well, I pick him too much, but I'm picking him again. Ladies and gentlemen, Xander Schauffele is my other pick. I've gotten to meet the guy. He signed my a flag for the PGA 5 years ago. He is an awesome person, and his odds are great, and he plays Augusta pretty well. He's at plus 1,800. Listen, he's finished in the top 5 in this major multiple times. He's finished top 5 in majors everywhere in the world, you feel like, at this point. He's won an Olympic gold medal for the United States of America, which is an awesome moment. He won it in Tokyo in a very strong Tokyo field, by the way. So I feel like with the way he's been striking the ball, he's a great driver of the ball. He knows how to do everything right. You always have to keep thinking that this is the time for this man. And I think it's going to be it. I'm probably going to be wrong. Watch him miss the cut. My 2 wild card picks. There's a lot I can pick here because there's a lot of people in this area that I do like. As I'm scrolling through the list, oddly enough, there is a man. I'll sell him for later. I am going with a guy who's at plus 5,000, chat. You're going with Minwoo Lee as the first wild card pick. We have the super wild card. He's coming up next. He's got plus 20,000. So you'll hear the super wild card in a minute. But I'm going with one Australian before I pick the other one. I'm going with Minwoo Lee. Last year, he was the wild card pick I almost picked to win a major championship last year. He drives the ball so well. He's been a winner this year already. He's an awesome attitude towards the game. He does everything right. These odds are offensive to this man. He, I think, will be in a major contention. Let's go to the plus 20,000 player. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Fox will be my other super wild card pick. Very strong, drives the ball a long way. And when he's on, he's on. We've seen that on the DP World Tour before. 3 tour wins. He's had a lot of top 10s. He's done everything right. I think this could be the time for him. But to end the show today, Cameron Woolley, we'll near sign it off with you. But if you want to shout out some shows, go right ahead.
I mean, for my Masters pick, it's not going to be Brooks. It's not going to be Brooks Koepka. That's for sure.
I've got to watch this man.
That guy. Every time I watch Brooks Koepka, he folds every single time. And I know another thing, I might watch the Masters this weekend. And I don't know, maybe. I know you'll be watching it.
Of course,
so I know I'm not gonna watch the Masters by myself, so I might just hit you up about it. But
I'm going home this week, so you can't even watch it with me.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm reffing soccer games this week, so that's why I'm not going to be here. But Cam, you have some shows that you would like to shout out.
I'd obviously like to shout out my own show, Ball Knowers. Luke and I, we do a great job on there. Friday afternoons at 1 p.m. We like to bring home the week for everyone here at Iona.
20 likes on this video, and I will be joining them on a stream. 20 likes, though.
Oh, okay.
Hit the like button.
20 yeah, smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
Yeah, we're doing a full gaming
channel.
YouTuber. Mode.
Yeah, no, listen, I do that on my own YouTube channel. Shout out to the Robbie Basil Show. I am doing a show.
Oh, I'd like to shout out the Cameron Woolley Show, too.
Go right ahead.
My show that I have back on, the show that I've been doing for
how long?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years, 193 episodes. Ming Chen, love to give a special shout out to him. The guy from Comic Book Men. He took me under his wing and has done, he's been an amazing co-host. And him and I know he's a massive Orioles fan, a big Devils fan. He's listened to he served as my therapist throughout all of high school, dealing with my sports takes. and dealing with me ripping on him too for being like 5'6". No, all love to him. No, just a great show. Like you can like literally just search up the Cameron Woolley Show on YouTube. You can also find it on SoundCloud. #1 show on a shared universe podcast network on SoundCloud.
Oh, nice.
So
W's in the chat. Actually, we have no one in chat now. So F's for the chat. But Cam, it was a pleasure having you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I can't wait. I can't wait for the draft.
You will see this man in 2 weeks' time, ladies and gentlemen, right here, sitting in that chair, possibly once again. But for Cameron Woolley, Colin McGee, Chris Gambino, I'm Robbie Basil saying good night from New Rochelle. You've been watching Into the Stands on WIUR. Make sure to check us out every Wednesday night from 5 to 6. Good night, everyone.